I'll start. So I've noticed in a lot of your art, especially with working with Tom, you do a lot of storytelling through subtle suggestions, subtle movements of characters. Is that something that you're adding to the story, or is that in Tom's script? Because it seemed to add a lot of depth to the story.
It's about half-half. That's kind of the reason I love working with Tom, and I will continue working with him until he kicks me off of his leg. But is that, I mean, especially with the 9-panel grid, the glory of the 9-panel grid is that you control time. And so you can show a repeating panel with a slight modification. And we as humans, we understand what those slight modifications mean. We understand when someone rolls their eyes, what that means. But the only way that eye roll works is if you see what their face was like before. It's like I said, it's about half and half Tom's script. Tom usually will put a general emotion of what's happening, or just through the dialogue I'll get it. But that's just what I like to do as an artist, is just tell human stories. I want people to connect with the characters as people before they connect with them as superheroes.
When did you realize you wanted to create Mr. Miracle, and how has been the impact, especially among soldiers?
Yeah, so Jack Kirby originally created Mr. Miracle in the 60s, and he was always portrayed as a very happy-go-lucky, adventuring character. And so, in true Tom and Mitch fashion, we got rid of that. But part of I think the reason that Jack Kirby Fourth World stuff hasn't worked in the industry since Kirby, and really didn't work great when Kirby was doing it himself, is that everyone past Kirby was trying to do Kirby. And so we knew that was not the way to go, because nobody can do Kirby except Kirby. And so all that was now off the table. So what we were trying to do is take the human side of a god. We were trying to make the gods relatable rather than big omnipotent beings. And so I might have veered completely off the original question. But yeah, our take was just we wanted to do something different than what had been done before. And we looked at the character, and he had such a terrible upbringing. Like, if you really think about it, like you see it they've made cartoons about it. They have, all the other comic books. He had the most hellish upbringing. And Tom and I sat down and we're like, what would that do to a person, let alone a god? And so that's kind of what our Mr. Miracle is about.
And what was the impact from the soldiers who read the comics?
Yeah, for Mr. Miracle, it's a little hidden. It's not as outright as Sheriff of Babylon was for soldiers. But for Mr. Miracle, for soldiers, for anyone through depression or any sort of trauma, not even specifically just soldiers, but anyone who's gone through any of those emotions, the great thing about Mr. Miracle is they get to see it. They get to see it happening as it's happening to a character. And like I said in the panel, like when you have a problem, like, so I just had a kid, and when something weird happens and I have no clue what's going on, I go to Google and I type in what happened, and I get a list of people who all had the same experience, and instantly I feel better.
Yep.
Like, oh, I'm not alone in the world. And so that's what Mr. Miracle we're trying to do, is we want people with these feelings to see it and go, oh, they're not trying to solve it, because you can't solve it. But they see it happening and they're like, oh, I empathize with that.
Excellent.
You guys have a chance for one more question, and then Mitch, you're going to move to this table. Sure. Okay, great. Thanks, guys.
In the panel, Dr. Murphy was saying that, as a society, we're not very good at showing a lot of emotions. And I was curious, as an artist, as a comic artist, are there certain emotions that you don't really get to illustrate very often, that you'd like to, if you can even see those?
Because I work with Tom, happiness.
One day.
One day. That is one of the great things about working with Tom, is I've gotten to do humor, I've gotten to do pure elation, I've gotten to do complete sadness. I've gotten to do utter destruction. I mean, emotion it's the name of the game for me. That's the kind of stories I like to tell. Again, it's stories about people, and people are nothing but emotion. So, yeah, I mean, even just in the pages of Mr. Miracle, I think we've run the gamut, and knowing what's coming, we're going to run a whole new gamut.
Not happiness though.
Yeah, just
Not,
no.
I mean, it's a
never.
Tom King book.
Yeah.
And actually, you guys can go for another couple minutes. Yeah, keep going.
You were talking about something in the panel. I wanted our listeners to hear about it. We were talking about the panels where its dark side is in Mr. Miracle, or Sheriff of Babylon was the bang, and how that makes the reader do. Could you talk about that for a minute?
Yeah.
And kind of repeat that a little bit.
So the true power behind those black panels with the white words is that it stops the reader. Again, it's you get to control progression of time. So in Sheriff of Babylon, the first time we come across that is a little girl getting shot in the head. And so instead of showing that, where a reader could see it and just move past it, or even in a more terrible aspect, they see it and they snicker to themselves because we've been programmed as a society that violence is an action movie, we get to stop the reader. They get to read bang, and they get to just feel that impact rather than see it and move on. They're now seeing it in their head. They're thinking of every emotion they could go through in that one moment, and we get to move on. And same with Dark Side is we get to have some occurrence and then just stop the reader, and now they have to ponder what Dark Side is. And that's scary as hell.
Yeah. Thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about your process? Just fascinated in the artist writer dynamic. How much back and forth is there when you're both working on something? Like you were describing about putting in emotion. Are you checking back with Tom at all to see what kind of emotion he wants in there? Or
Not a lot. The kind of the one, like Tom and I work together in a weirdly, like inhumanly good way. I read a Tom King script and I know exactly what he's thinking, and I think he writes a Tom King script and knows probably exactly what I'll draw, even if he didn't write it. We're just simpatico like that, and so generally I'll get a script and I just kind of go off to my cabin in the woods per se, and finish it and come back. And I think I've never had a change from Tom. Yeah. And I've changed some of Tom's things, not out of spite or anything, but sometimes the artist sees visually how something might work better, and so I'm allowed to change it. And he's not a writer that would stab me because of it. Yeah, exactly.
Is this your first child you just had?
Yes,
or
yeah.
Has that changed how you? I mean, maybe it hasn't been that long, but how you look at your art at all? Or?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It changes everything.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought that beforehand. I would have thought it was a Hallmark card to say something like that. But no, it totally does. It's a whole new world. It's all those things that I thought were Hallmark cards are completely true. And all the things that like people tell you, like good luck sleeping, you're like, oh, stop being a jerk. Nope, they were just trying to warn me.
Yeah.
Have you found yourself like attracted to different kinds of stories?
I'm because of working with Tom.
Yeah.
I've never done a book that I want to give my kid anytime before he's 36. So I would at some point like to do a book that like I can give my kid as a kid. I want to go to what do they call them? Like where I go to his class and talk about my job. And I want to be able to pass out a book to everyone there that isn't a little girl getting shot. It says bang.
All black panels.
Yeah, or a superhero on page 1.
You could do homework is.
Yeah,
just
there
go
you
that
go.
way.
Yeah. I keep telling Tom after Mr. Miracle and before whatever we do next, I just want to do like a Streaky the Wonder Cat, Streaky the Super Cat.
Just sneak it in.
Yeah. So knowing
Like
Tom, it'll
Kid
be
Miracle.
rated M.
Yeah, Kid Miracle. I like that. Go on the lighter side.